shooting down in the woods. He wouldn't leave it even if he could. 'Cause life is good, yeah!
Hickok45, your internet shooting companion, coming to you from the beautiful hills of Middle Tennessee, the home of Alvin York, Dolly Parton. Who else? Hey, Eddie Arnold. Some of you folks might be familiar with him. Country music singer, quite a star in his day. My mother loved Eddie Arnold. He had a very smooth voice. But anyway, he lived down in Brentwood, Tennessee. I know. I drove my mom and dad by his house one time when they were in town. So anyway, here I am. What are we doing? We're yakking again, what I do best sometimes. And I'm going to yak at you all. You are forced to listen. You are not allowed to turn off the computer or phone or whatever it is. But here I am yakking about some different things, and I'm not sure what. We'll probably talk about some firearms before it's over. You reckon? This is a little bit like, what was it, Seinfeld? They talked about it being the show about nothing. Maybe that's what my radio shows are to some extent. But again, if you're new, that's kind of what it is. It's just an easy opportunity for me to talk to you people. For some reason, you never answer me or reply, talk back to me during these shows, but too many of you anyway, right? I couldn't hear you all at once, but it's an opportunity for me just to yak a little bit, talk about things we're doing, nothing too formal. Again, new folks, don't be too disillusioned. The videos are the main thing. This is just kind of a casual opportunity for me to, I don't know, catch up with you on some things. Some of the things I do here, if you're new, I will let you know if I've purchased a T&E gun, or maybe some tidbits about upcoming videos, little corny Hickok45 philosophy, or my take on some different things. Still don't get too political and that sort of thing, but we just touch on a little bit of everything, whatever I'm in the mood to talk about. One advantage to having your own show, isn't it? And no gatekeeper. I need a gatekeeper. I need a keeper to put a leash around my neck probably and watch me sometimes. And I really, when you think about it, it just now occurred to me, and that's kind of the way we go with this thing. Some random thought streaks through my brain, through my head. There's not too much brain up there to slow it down, but we really do have a lot of, I don't know about power, but we have a lot of opportunity, don't we, in today's world with the technology the way it is. Here I can sit here and yak at you and post it, and thousands of people hear what I say around the globe. That's pretty amazing, really, when you think about just 20, 30 years ago. That was like magic. People would have thought of that as magic, 30, 40, 50 years. Well, I guess not with TV, but there was a time not all that long ago it would have really seemed like magic. And it is a little bit like magic that any of us can do it, though, now, I guess is what I'm getting at. We don't have to have a TV station, network station, a cable station. We all can set up our own little channels on YouTube or other places, Facebook, anywhere, and and just broadcast our idiocy to the world, can't we? So it's a little bit like firearms is what came to me. We have this opportunity, like John and me, for example. We could post literally about anything we wanted, right? And put it on YouTube, put it on, this is going on YouTube, audio, visual, whatever we wanted to do. And a lot of people are going to see it. And it's a little bit like firearms. We have a lot of, power in a firearm and potential for good and for harm, right? As we all know. So it's how you use it. It's what you do with it. And, most people are responsible and they act responsibly. It's what keeps the world going, so especially this country. And So anyway, even though you and I have the ability to post anything we want, virtually anything, on YouTube or elsewhere, we have reins on us, don't we? We rein ourselves in. We try to act responsibly, even if we push the edge. So, but anyway, that's what this is about, and maybe that is pushing the edge when you actually post something you call a radio show that's not maybe really a radio show, and you just ramble about random things. Maybe that's kind of pushing the edge, demonstrating the fact that, my gosh, a person can post anything they want to, can't they, on the internet? But anyway, if you're new, that's what we do. We ramble a little bit, and we do talk about some more serious things occasionally, and talk about firearms. Wow. Speaking of firearms, well, before I speak about firearms, come to think of it, there was actually another thought that streaked through my head, not my brain now, my head. It probably bypassed my brain. But anyway, I was reminded as I was talking about that how we, sometimes videos are pretty good. Maybe sometimes they're mediocre. I don't know. Maybe the radio shows, especially mediocre. But in various things we do, there are people who disagree perhaps with certain things or want to advise us. But I do get some recommendations or suggestions on some things, how to really totally change the channel. Totally do things differently. The videos are too long, and how we'd get more views if we would cut the videos down and do this or that and different things. And I usually read those things if I see them, or especially if they're sent to me in a message. But it is interesting that so many people have an idea how to improve and make the channel more worthy. And you go to their channel and they have like no videos, or they have nothing really they're doing, or it's a troll channel. But anyway, I have invited a few people to become our new marketing director, because I've looked at their channel and they have 10 subscribers, and they obviously are experts at what they're suggesting. But I think the way we do things, it does breed a lot of so-called experts that want to revamp what we do, because it is maybe so relaxed, too relaxed in their opinion, too long. We take too long to make a video. I talk too much, or whatever I do, they don't like. And I don't know, don't blow up enough stuff, or don't use enough tannerite, or whatever it might be. I don't know. But anyway, what we've been doing, people seem to like it, most people, and so we're not going to change directions in any major way. Why would we? Like, duh. If something's not too broken, let's not be trying to fix it. So we will keep doing pretty much what we're doing. We tweak things a little bit, do things a little differently here and there, and we've got ideas. I guess whatever creativity that John and I have, we try to put it into videos, or just the way we do things, or we try to get a firearm that we haven't had, or I don't know. We just do what we do. Try not to work at fixing something too much if it's not really broken. I don't know. Maybe it is broken. We don't know it, but a lot of people seem to like what we're doing. So don't you hate it when there's something going on, whether it's a TV show or whatever the heck it might be, and about time you get to the point where you are enjoying it for whatever reason, and you have figured it out, then they change, it becomes something different, but anyway, we're not planning to do that. We're going to keep doing what we're doing and see how badly and intensely we can bore some of you to death. But again, speaking of firearms, was I speaking of firearms? Oh yeah, I was, wasn't I? Man, I've had some fun lately. Gosh, and I don't know. I think we'll probably post what we did recently here. Yesterday we did. What is today? Well, let's see. I don't know. You've either seen it or you're going to see it soon. We'll just put it that way. And I don't mind giving you some early info on the radio show because you really are sick. You're listening to these things. But we got some lever guns in. And if you follow the Facebook, which I hope you do, because I am doing more there. I am committed and got it kind of straightened out and going to be posting. I do. I'm not going to be. I have been. If you haven't noticed it, I've posted more well, not videos, but pictures and from around the compound, and well, videos too. I make sure they're put over there when we post one, and just notifications. I'm even actually replying to some of the comments, which I've just not taken the time to do. I stay on YouTube all the time, but I'm trying to get over there and actually, scour through there and answer a comment now and then, or answer a question on there even. Which, again, don't count on it. It's like everything you can imagine. You have a channel or you wouldn't be probably on YouTube. I don't know whether you have videos you've posted or not, but if you have and you've done some videos, maybe some shooting videos, maybe some vacation, whatever you've done, if you've got some subscribers, you've got whatever it is, 300 or 50 or 1,000 or 15,000 subscribers, you've got some activity. So you know what I'm talking about. You know how it is. You have people writing you, you're looking at comments, maybe answering a comment occasionally, you're answering private messages, you're trying to keep up with it if you've got much going there at all. Well, just multiply that by, quite a few, and you can see how incredibly busy and active it is with over 800, subscriptions. So I know you all understand, if you're listening to this, that I can't answer everything, and I can't even try to answer everything. I wouldn't be able to do what we're doing. Duh. There would be no videos, right? The videos are the thing, as they say. That's it. The videos, and everything else is kind of if I can get to it. And as I've said before, I try to answer private messages, most of them, depending on what it is in the message, and occasionally you'll see me on videos. I'll answer, reply to comments, make my own comments, kind of thing. Don't feel neglected or I hate you if I don't answer your question on a video or wherever it might be, because it is very random. I can't answer them all. It's just very random. I can't even try that. Same on Facebook. So, but anyway, I'm on Facebook now more, and am committed to posting on that Hickok45 page more photos, and I believe they show up on the Twitter feed too. Anything I do there shows up on Twitter, and I want to use it more. But anyway, firearms. What about firearms? Well, as I was about to say before I was rudely interrupted by the rambling, that we've been very busy the last week, I guess, week and a half, trying to do a video of lever guns, Winchester lever guns, and you've probably noticed from the pictures I've posted on Facebook that there's some different firearms posted there, some pictures, and gorgeous firearms, historical firearms. So it occurred to me, when I got the Yellow Boy in, the 1866 Winchester in from Taylor's and Company, and I still have that. I've got to get back to them, but it occurred to me, I said to John, we have quite a few of the Winchesters now, don't we, in hand, counting the ones I own, and then with this Yellow Boy, maybe we want to do a kind of a scope and sequence, do like we did with the military rifles, and since whatever we called that, 1776, and maybe Winchester rifles of the 1800s, the 19th century, maybe, even though we've got some gaps there we don't have, but we have enough of the most popular ones, very popular ones, that we could do something with that, and then just sort of fill in the blanks in the video. And so anyway, we're to the point where we were going to do that. Even though those gaps, are a little bothersome, but you can't have every firearm, and so we were missing 3. I had the 1866, of course, Then I have the 1886. I have the 92. I have the 94. And what am I leaving out? Seems like there's another one I have. But anyway, we're missing the gaps were the 1876 Winchester, which is the big old blown up 73 essentially. And maybe that's one I didn't mention, the 73 I had. But the 76 we didn't have. In fact, I don't even see those things. I don't know if I had never held one, to tell you the truth. It's a massive firearm. It really is. It's like an 1873 on steroids to handle bigger cartridges. And then what else were we missing? We were missing the 1895. I don't have one of those. I've never had one. That's the one that's really a different design that is designed for what do you call it? Spitzer bullets, for pointed bullets for like the 30-06, those kinds of rounds that it was chambered for. The 303 was even chambered for the 7.62 by 54R, that Russian round, the Mosin round. So we sold a bunch of them. Winchester did to Russia. And so it was chambered for that round even. So we're talking, modern pointed bullets that you could use in that because it had the magazine directly under, like a bolt action kind of thing. But yeah, it was a lever gun. And you've probably seen one. Maybe you didn't know what it was. They're a little bit different looking, but that's one I've never owned, never fired one. But anyway, the 95, that one, the 80s, 76, I didn't have, and then the Henry too, which is really a Winchester, because it was designed. It was, there was earlier history, but that thing was finalized and made in Winchester's plant, New Haven Arms. He was in charge of all that with Benjamin Tyler Henry and everything. So it just didn't have the Winchester name on it. He changed the name of the company to Winchester Repeating Arms, later in 1866, and that's why it was on the Yellow Boy. But that was really a Winchester firearm when you get right down to it. So I felt like it'd be nice if we had the Henry in there to start it all off. I spent so much time in that 1866 video, the Yellow Boy video, talking about the Henry and all that kind of thing, how it all got kicked off. And I thought, man, if we're going to do kind of a landscape of Winchester videos, I'd really like to start with the Henry. It would just be so appropriate, but there's probably no way we're going to be able to do that. And so anyway, well, due to weather and everything, we didn't really get on that too quickly the day we were maybe going to do it. And I got to thinking about, I'm going to see what I could find. It would be great to fill in a couple of those gaps, at least, that we have there before we do that video. So I prowled around some gun shops, asked around, and located a fellow at Tennessee Gun Country up in Clarksville that owns an 1876 replica, and he offered to let us use it. So that was great. I said, yes, thank you. Please bring it in, and we'll use that. And that was in 40-60 caliber. And then I asked around over at Guns and Leather and Jolton Gun Shop, Academy of Self-Protection, just different shops that have been helpful to us, that I thought might have something like that or might know somebody who would, and was able to round up an 1895 at Guns and Leather. It was great. So filled the two gaps that really needed filling. Still didn't have a Henry. You might have seen my post on the feed. I thought, we just need the Henry. That's one thing. I've never done that before, but I went ahead and put a post on the feed. Does anybody in Middle Tennessee have a Henry rifle repo that you're willing to lend us? And didn't really get anything. I had a couple of people answer and had another rifle, 66 or some different things that lend me. But anyway, no response from that. And so I thought, okay, we're just not going to have a Henry. Taylor's and Company couldn't get one. They're out of them. They were going to send me one if they had it. They just are out of them. They, as you know, the gun companies, they're selling these things as fast as they can on almost all guns. Things have gotten a little bit better, but it's not over with. The demand is incredible. And for everything. These Western guns and lever guns. I think I told you I was trying to find some 45-70 brass just to order a few more pieces. Couldn't find it anywhere. There's a run on everything basically, and the distributors, people like Taylor's and Company, they're having a hard time keeping guns in. They're selling whatever they have. People want them. The distributors, gun shops, they're putting in orders, so they're not going to have a bunch of guns lying around there, I guess, at the headquarters. So anyway, they couldn't help me right now either. And so I went to a large gun shop down in Franklin, and they had a brand new one. I was kind of hoping, if I were to find one, I knew they have everything there. So I thought, who knows? Maybe they would have a used Henry, and it'd be in a price range where I would just say, I think I'm going to buy it. I've always wanted a Henry rifle anyway. Now we are talking reproductions here. You realize, if you're not familiar with those firearms, an original Henry is $40,000 to $50,000, and you can't fire it. It takes a 44 rimfire cartridge if it's an original. Where are you going to get that ammo? I talked about in the other videos. So when I talk about a Henry rifle or looking for, I am not talking about an original. This is one of those where it's not like an old Colt single action or many other firearms. You could go buy one, maybe pay big bucks for it, but you could actually fire it if you wanted to. Ammo is available. Those guns you really can't fire. I don't know if anybody makes. There might be some little boutique reloader that's somehow making rimfire 44. I can't imagine it. If they do, it's probably $20 a shot. I just don't see anybody making it. Maybe somebody does. I'll do a search sometime. Not that it matters. I'm not going to be getting one of those guns. But so we're talking reproductions, and boy, the reproductions are fine. They're beautiful. If you see an actual original Henry, because I see them at huge gun shows, you don't see them unless it's a really big regional gun show usually, and you almost don't recognize them because they are very old. They go back to the 1860s, and the brass is so tarnished it almost looks like metal, and nobody is going to put Flitz or Scotch Brite on it or whatever to shine it up, because you know what that does? That kills the value. That would take, it wouldn't kill it totally, but it would probably reduce it by, thousands of dollars, so they just to the average person who doesn't really know firearms, if they saw an old Henry lying there, they'd think that was an old junker of some sort. Yeah, it's an old junker, all right, $40,000 junker. So anyway, we're talking about, of course, reproductions. Birdie, makes really nice. They're beautiful, beautiful guns. And as I've talked about, where did I talk about that? Maybe in a video. The reproductions, have massive advantages. You get essentially the same gun that somebody would have walked into a gun shop and bought, in 1863. If they found the Henry, it's going to look like, in fact, I happen to have it handy here. Hear that? Yep, the Henry rifle. So yeah, I kind of jumped ahead there, didn't I? Let you know I've got one. But I think I posted that anyway on Facebook with a picture a couple days ago. But if you think about that, maybe I'm rationalizing, but if I want to, I don't know, if I want to see what it was like, really pretend I'm living in 1863 and I have somehow purchased a Henry rifle, it's not going to look like those ones I see at the gun shows, right? It's going to look more like this one right here, a new rifle. It's going to be shiny and new. And the bluing is new, the brass is shining and gleaming, and it's a beautiful gun. And it's going to look very much like this one, not like those I see at gun shows that are whatever they are, 150 years old, say. So, you can look at it both ways. The reproductions of these old guns, it's just not quite the same. The word reproduction, has negative connotations, I guess. Replica, reproduction, it connotes fake, I guess, to some extent. It depends what you're talking about. But Yeah, I think in the shooting community, people who know firearms, when you say I have a whatever, an 1866 reproduction or an 1873 or a Henry or whatever it might be, it doesn't have the same connotations. It's built pretty much like the originals, and it is a Henry rifle, just made by somebody else because they're not around to make them. So, boy, do I ramble. Gosh, almost lost track of where I was going. So anyway, I'm in this. I go to this large gun shop, and they have a new one there. It's like $1,400, $1,500. With tax and everything else, it'd have been $1,600 before I got out of there. And I thought, well, I'm not gonna. I love it. Oh man, it's in a display case, and I thought that is a beautiful rifle. I have always drooled over the Henry rifle. I think most of us have, if we're gun people. Hopefully, you know what a Henry is. If you're brand new to firearms and the channel, and you happen to be listening to this, Google Henry rifle, not the new company. They make good guns too, and they're pretty. But I don't know. Google original Henry rifle or 1860 model Henry, or Benjamin Tyler Henry or something. Get the original. I've noticed in Googling around for information on my own, when you start Googling, Henry and Henry rifles and all that, most of the hits that come up are the new company that took that name. So just be aware of that, know what you're looking at. Nothing wrong with them. Again, they're a good company, but they have nothing to do with the original company, Winchester and Benjamin Tyler Henry. All right. It's just like Springfield Armory, took the name of Springfield, the armory at Springfield, good marketing decisions, of course, and both good companies, but Google up a picture or go to my Facebook and, just look at what a real Henry is. And they're just gorgeous guns. I mean, when you see one, you want one. And you watch some of the Westerns they're in, man, beautiful firearms, and really the first practical lever gun on the planet. That was it. And it was a good one. Not perfect, but it was a good one. It was kind of like Apple computer, right out of the gate there, got something that was pretty cool. So anyway, I was lusting for that thing. I thought, oh man, I don't need to spend that kind of money at all for a rifle. I've always wanted one, but not now. Boy, sure luck to have it, because I was looking, this was the day before we were going to do the video. And this was kind of my last straw, my last chance. Okay, I'm going to go down here, this shop. I know they usually have a Henry or two. They got a bunch of 1866s. I knew they did. And they just have a lot. They have a lot of everything. And I even talked to them about it. They sort of know me, but I'm not sure they do. And I even asked them, I said, well, you wouldn't consider like renting the gun, would you? $50 or something. No, I won't shoot it. No, just bring it back. New gun. I could tell they were kind of, well, never mind. I know that's kind of a weird request, because I don't know that particular shop that well. They don't know me. And I said, that's okay. What's your best price? Maybe I'll think about buying. I don't know. What's your bottom dollar today on it? That kind of. So they knocked off a little bit, but not enough to make me bring it home or anything. I went back and looked at it one last time. I thought, oh man, that is a gorgeous gun. Love to have it. It's just a U-Birdie Henry, 45 Colt, exactly what I would want. Not today. We can do this video without the Henry. We are so lucky to have gotten the other gaps filled. So I was standing there looking at something else, a rack, about to leave, and a fellow walks up to me, suit and tie. He said, you looking for a Henry? Yeah. I've got a Henry. Okay. Oh, you got a Henry. And he overheard the conversation I was having, part of it at least. And I thought he was a viewer. I thought, oh, great. What are the chances of this, man? Well, a viewer standing around and he's got a Henry. And so all that went through my head. Great. We've got a Henry now. You know how everything flashes at once. He wouldn't come up to me if he wasn't willing to lend it to us, So, I was ready to start jumping for joy. I'm going to get a Henry here today after all. This is cool. And I said, great, great. Would you lend it to us, for a couple of days, And he kind of looked at me funny. I said, and he said, well, I brought it. I was going to maybe trade it or sell it. And I began to realize very quickly, even as dense as I am, that he didn't know me. He didn't know the channel. He was not a viewer or anything, trying to help out, the channel, the cause or anything. He didn't know me. He just overheard part of that conversation. And he just happened to be at the gun shop, had brought a Henry, U-Birdie 45 Colt along because he was going to maybe trade it for another lever gun. He was looking for, I think he said, something in 357. It'd be cheaper to shoot, and he could shoot. I don't know what all the reasons were, but he was looking for something in 357. And I can feel his pain. I don't think he was a hand loader or anything. So, you buy a few boxes of 45 Colt, and you quickly realize, whoa, 38, 357 might be a better choice. So he was really just there to trade the gun, happened to have it with him, and I said, oh, okay, so it's for sale then? He said, oh yeah. And I asked him about the condition and how long he had it and all that kind of thing and everything. And he just had it for a couple of years, short time, hadn't shot it that much, worked fine, he said, and everything. And I asked him how much he wanted, for it, and the price was really reasonable, and a whole lot less than I would have had to pay for a new one. And I said, well, let's go. He's had his trunk. Let's go look at it. So, long story short, I came home with the Henry, and it's in my grubby little hands, and it is in the video. So, I really was born under a lucky star. I mean to tell you, things like that have happened to me so many times. I don't know why. I don't deserve it probably, but I could go back through the ages and just, coincidences like that. They're just so many of them. There's the negative too, yeah. But here, think about that. These guns are not that available. They're just not, especially right now. Like that shop that has everything in multiples. You could go there and buy 3 SCAR 17s today. You could buy a 2 or 3 Colt single action Armies, original old ones, and they've got everything in multiples. Even when I asked about the Henry, in fact, they had to go into the back room just to check to make sure they didn't have a couple lying back there somewhere. This is a massive gun shop, and but now what are the odds? What are the odds of that? These guns are just not, and they have one in that shop, and not really anxious to deal too intensely because again they know they can't get them. They can't get them either anymore right now. It's just everything's bought out. So I'm scouring Middle Tennessee. I find one, new one. And what are the odds of the one day I drive to that shop, which is about 50, 60 miles from me, and it's the day before we do the video that we're going to do either way. It's the last meager shot at maybe, at least seeing a Henry, and, if all the stars are aligned, possibly finding a used one or something on the shelf that would be priced where I'd be interested. I don't know. But what are the odds of me being there on that one day, that last shot at it, and at that time in the morning, when this guy happens to show up there also with one in the trunk, and he also here's the conversation I have with, at least part of the conversation, or maybe he just saw me drooling over it. No, I think he heard part of the conversation. What are the odds, of that happening? And then it being in 45 Colt, and it being in good condition, like new, essentially. And, just all those stars aligning right there. It was meant to happen. It just crazy. I was ready to leave the place. That was it. Okay, no Henry, not a big deal. And I decided it wasn't a big deal. We were so lucky to get the 95 and the 86 from the gun shops, Tennessee Gun Country and Guns and Leather. And again, the Jolton Gun Shop was trying to help me too. So we were so lucky to fill those other two gaps. And okay, there's no big deal. Get over it. Get over it. I don't have to have a Henry, and for the video, and I wouldn't buy one just for the video either. I mean, I rarely do I buy a gun just to do a video with it. Sometimes if it's an inexpensive firearm we've had a billion requests for, or that kind of thing, I might do, like the little Sky pistol you'll be seeing sometime here, but we're testing and been shooting. But I'm not going to buy a gun that runs over $1,000, and even used not far from that. So just for a video, unless it's a firearm I drool over and I want badly anyway, that kind of thing. But anyway, I know that's a long, boring story, but I just thought maybe somebody would be interested in that, and my luck, and just the odds of that happening. The more I think about it, it's just it's kind of incredible, that it worked out that way. So anyway, we did the video, and we had the Henry, and we had basically all the major slots filled there. There were a couple other prototypes in the 1800s of Winchesters. It's never black and white, clear cut. There was, and I meant to mention this in the video and I forgot. There was the 1876 was actually, it wasn't so much they took the 73 and then just blew it up to a bigger gun, which most people think, because that's what it looks like, and that's kind of what it is. But it was really, they were working on they had some guns made, I think some prototypes in 68 actually, of an iron framed rifle that was kind of like the 73 but bigger, and some different things they'd done to it. I don't know. I've read a little bit about it. Don't know a lot about it. They thought they had a big military contract with the Swiss that fell through, and that was going to be the rifle, and they had submitted, I think, and it was some to deal with that. But I've read really that the 1876 was it was more based on that prototype that never did hit the commercial market, that 68 model, than it was just blowing up the 73 to a bigger gun on steroids, like I like to say. So you get some little things like that, but by and large, I don't think we missed anything. The Henry, the 1866 Yellow Boy, the 1873, the 1876, the 1886, I was going to skip one there, the Model 92, Model 94, Model 95. We had them all. So the only problem was trying to keep it well, I won't say reasonable. What's reasonable in length, for a video? We really need to do a mini series and do about a 2 or 3 part video, I guess, if we were going to give a lot of information about all the firearms. So I just really kind of gave an overview. I took a fair amount of time at the beginning with the little bit of the history in the Henry and the 66 and all that, but took too much time. I got a signal from John that it was 20. I was in 20 minutes or something there, and I really hadn't gotten started with the 73 or some of the others, and so I had to watch myself. But that kind of video probably did warrant 2 parts or something. I don't know. It's kind of how you want to do it. Mainly it was an overview, and I don't know. It's always a tough decision whether to how in depth to go. In a video, there were stories, and there was some more information about some of the firearms that I could have gotten into, but really time definitely did not allow for that. And we have individual videos on just about all those firearms, and so we'll take it from there. So if you don't like lever guns, I guess this has been even more boring, but I thought I'd clue you in on that. I tell you what, when you see that table, oh man, I did take a couple of pictures of it. I probably won't post those on Facebook until we post the video, I don't know. We put so much work into getting all those guns that we'll just let you see the video, okay? Let you drool on that, because I mean, it's beautiful. You can imagine, for those of you who know these guns, the models I'm talking about, just envision all those on the shooting table at one time. Oh man, that's a fantasy. It really is. If you like the Old West, you like the old firearms, you appreciate the history at all, and to see those things lying there side by side, that as I say in the video, this would be a good video, at least if all we did was just let John, move the camera over those firearms for 20 minutes. It'd just be one of those things you could put on your TV or computer screen as a relaxing. You can I guess you can still well, I'm sure you can get it on the internet, but I know back in the day someone had when VHS was high tech, somebody had a tape of a fire burning, just a fireplace, and you put that tape in, and your TV becomes a fireplace with a fire crackling and burning, that kind of thing. So anyway, man, that's an idea. Maybe I ought to do something like that. Yeah, you never know what I'm gonna think of when I'm rambling like this. Maybe we should do just a gun porn silent video, maybe with some soft gunfire in the background, not too loud. And just of firearms like that, just scrolling through, and a table full of beautiful firearms with close-ups. Just John takes the camera and just slowly moves around the table and stops periodically. That's the video. Do that for about an hour, and you just load that on your computer or TV and relax. Bask in the ballistics joy, or whatever. I promise I've not been drinking, well, some water is all. Sorry. Okay, what else am I going to talk about? Well, I know before we leave that topic, I don't think I gave you enough gun sounds here. Oh, I even pulled the trigger on an empty chamber. Cool. I don't guess you could probably hear. If you're familiar with the Henry, it has this tab that you have to pull up the spring in the magazine. Here we go. If you heard that, let's do it again. There you go. I guess that would, what's that, audio gun porn or something? And you pull the spring all the way forward, and then you turn the front of the barrel. There's a shroud around the barrel, and the magazine has a split in it, a gap, and you turn that out of the way so you can load through the tubular magazine, which I demonstrate in the video. And then we'll do a separate video, of course, on the Henry. You'll have to watch me with this Henry. I will I'll have in the next couple of months, we'll have 20 videos posted, because it's just a beautiful firearm. I'm not sure what all it is about it. If you look at it, my gosh, the brass, of course, is one thing. And even before I knew what these guns were, and you might be in the same boat, if you go back into whatever, your childhood or whenever, when you saw firearms in movies or pictures of them, you just know what you liked, what you thought was cool. A firearm I thought was always really cool were black powder percussion revolvers. I didn't know what they were. I just knew that in some of the older movies or different things I had seen, I'm talking when I was whatever, 8, 10, 15 years old, I didn't really know what I was seeing. But when I would see a pistol, a revolver, with the loading apparatus, under the barrel, like the percussion revolvers have, I always just thought that was so cool. I don't know why. It was just neat. There was this little gizmo, this rod and this hinged thing up underneath the barrel in front of the cylinder there. And I don't know. It just made it. That is an exceptionally cool looking pistol, revolver. I couldn't have told you how it worked or what that was even for. And it's just cool. Of course, now I could even demonstrate it, right? And the Henry the same way. Now, granted, one of the big disadvantages in the Henry rifle is it does not have a forearm. the wooden forearm that you hold the barrel by with your left hand or your offhand, and to keep your hand off the barrel, which gets very hot. And the Henry, you've got that tab and the spring and all that, the open magazine, which is the reason, I guess, you don't have that. Well, I say the reason. It wasn't a concept that they were familiar with really as much, I guess, at that time. Even though the muzzle loaders, you have all that stock and wood, maybe when they were envisioning that volcanic that came along before this, they just didn't even think of that. I don't know. But anyway, it doesn't have the forearm on it, so you would think it'd be extremely ugly. But really, I don't know. There's something about that barrel. It makes the barrel look a lot longer, and it adds exponentially to the cool factor. I mean, it's just something extremely cool looking about a Henry. Nothing but the brass and the blued barrel, and of course part of that's the tubular magazine. If you didn't know it, the barrel and the magazine tube are all one piece. That's pretty amazing. How'd you like to have to manufacture that? But it is one of the coolest looking firearms ever made to me. So it's just something about it, and of course it's a lever gun, and it shoots great, and all that. So it's pretty desirable rifle. But there is something that attracts us to these old guns. I think a lot of us, and for one thing, I think it comes to just about everybody. And some of you listening may just be mainly interested in modern firearms, but as you get older and you get more experience with firearms, you learn more about different firearms. You will naturally, most of you will develop more of an interest in these guns too, and in all firearms. You just do as you learn more about it. It's like a car, a make of car or something. If you don't know anything about it, it's just totally irrelevant to you. But somebody has one, or you drive your sister-in-law or something, and you begin to learn about it. You might even fall in love with it. It's just mainly ignorance, being ignorant about, like we all are about most things, ignorant about those firearms or something, not having appreciation for it or for history yet. That usually comes. It doesn't with everybody, but with most people it does. And these old guns take you back. Man, they take you back into history. This gun was designed before the Civil War, and you can't help it just be impressed by that fact. Cartridge lever gun that'll hold 14 or 15 rounds, and basically operate the way a lever gun operates today. A different mechanism and everything, but crank out 15 rounds of 44, and 1861, 1862. And I talk about that in the video, but just an amazing old gun that it really takes you back. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. I don't know. Part of it, I guess, is the same reason we like to watch old movies and westerns and that kind of thing. It takes us back to a simpler time, maybe, or at least times that look simpler, right? No computers, no phones, cell phones, and all that, and and then of course, if you're a gun person, people packing firearms and big firearms, interesting firearms, and all the other stuff that goes with it. The interesting terrain of the West. So many of them take place, of course, in the West. And with these cool-looking firearms, it just adds to the romance of it, I guess. But anyway, what else was I going to gab about? Well, I know one thing I was going to talk a little bit about is where I'm using Facebook more now and posting pictures. I have that linked with Twitter, and I don't know what you all think. I noticed it's linked to the point where if I post a video or a picture on Facebook, my Facebook page, it's also in the Twitter feed and everything. I don't know if y'all think that's too much. There might be a day where I'll post 3 or 4 pictures. I don't know if I'm not sure what I think about Twitter. I tend not to use it as much. I should use it more too, probably. But in a way, I guess I am. Because one of my thoughts months ago was when I discovered whenever that was, that you could actually post pictures and things on Twitter. I thought, well, I need to do that more often, and I did. I posted a few pictures, but I kind of got away from it. But now that I've gotten this Facebook more I don't know, not knowledgeable, but more well, yeah, more knowledgeable. I guess I kind of understand a little bit more about the Facebook page. It's and got some albums created, and well, I've had them on there for a long time. Just haven't done anything with them much. Haven't updated any of the pictures until recently. So anyway, so those pictures apparently, I believe they're. I was checked the other day, and my Twitter feeds or tweets were for those pictures that I had posted. There's a separate one for each picture I posted on Facebook. So I guess I'm accomplishing the same thing, depending on where you go and when you go and all the places we have to go on the internet these days to keep up with what we want to keep up with, right? But if you have any input on that, let me know. It's good in a way that I can work from Facebook, maybe, and those will get posted. And then if I want to go and just post a comment or something on Twitter, I can do that too, or a link to an article or something I think is brilliant, just whatever that might be. And then, of course, all the video notifications, at all three places, of course, on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter. And again, that's the main thing. Just we want to continue producing videos, and whatever else we do, we'll try to do it. Anything else I can add, I will, but not to the point where, again, I'm sorry if somebody's upset that I didn't answer their question or see their comment and reply or all this kind of thing, but that could very easily be at the expense. If I answered everything and saw everything, it might not be the channel it is. We may not have nearly as many videos or guns or the quality videos or whatever, if there is any quality there. So just keep in mind, the videos are the main thing, and we want to also continue with the other. And I know YouTube has changed. People are mad about about how it changes. And right now, as I speak, they're doing something weird there with Google Plus again, and I don't know exactly what it involves, but we'll see how it all shakes out. And from there, I know YouTube has undergone some changes. I know that there are people wondering what's going on with Google and YouTube, and it's ads and everything. But we're going to keep doing, as long as we get enough revenue to keep up the project and do what we need to do. We don't plan to really slack off or quit doing what we're doing. I know there's pressure there in some areas, but we have no plans to back off. Okay. Now, as it gets winter and cold, we may not, we may go some weeks and just post a video or something like that. I don't know, but I'm not going to go out and stand in the 10 degrees just to get a video up. We've never really done that just to get a video on. We just have, firearms we're interested in, and firearms we have. Man, we've got a bunch of firearms we've not even done a chapter 2 with that I'm anxious to get back out. We just have a lot of videos we want to do. We've got guns that people have offered that I've not taken them up on, and just some cool stuff we'll do this winter. Hopefully we have kind of a mild winter, so I don't freeze out there at the shooting table. Actually, I don't let the cold stop me unless it's just really uncomfortable. It's not that much fun doing a video if it's if it's so cold that you almost can't do it without gloves or that kind of thing. It's not quite as much fun if you're having to load magazines and do that sort of thing. I do this for fun, as a big factor here. So it's how I got started. And as I've told the story, if you're new, haven't heard all the radio shows, we just started doing this. And thought it'd be kind of interesting and try to give back to the shooting, to new shooters, a little of my knowledge, not to sound altruistic, but but really, I've done some stuff for my students, and with the Old West stuff, and show them on the wall, what a Colt single action was, all that kind of thing, digitally, of course. But I was able to show them me shooting it at my shooting table, and then it just went from there. This side, John taught me doing something with Glocks or something and putting on YouTube, And so, those early videos where I'm just showing what a Glock 19 is, how it works, and how well it can shoot, and all those kinds of things. So we didn't know anything about being YouTube partners or ad revenue, none of that. Didn't know about it for almost a year until we got an email to be invited to be YouTube partners. And I said, yeah, right. They said we could share in some ad revenue, and we laughed about it. Yeah, right. We'll get our nickel and buy a bullet. So that was kind of our approach, how we started. And so we did it for fun, trying to give back to the shooting world. And our focus is, I guess it's always been that more than anything. Newer shooters and just any shooter that doesn't know what a Colt Walker is, or a Dragoon, or how a percussion revolver is loaded. It doesn't have to be a new shooter. There's so many firearms out there and different types of them. So we're all new shooters with, certain genres of firearms, right? I had never held an 1876 Winchester until this week in my life, a reproduction or otherwise. I'm not sure I'd hardly seen one, that kind of thing. So we're all new to certain firearms. So in that sense, I guess almost everything we do or a big percentage of it, is geared to the ignorant. Well, really, if you know what that word means, which you do, people who are not knowledgeable yet about a particular firearm, whether it's a new firearm or an old firearm or an antique firearm or whatever it is. So it is mostly education. There's a lot of entertainment and goofball stuff thrown in, right? But that's it. That's mainly the goal. That's the mission, just to kind of help educate people and have fun doing it. I love guns. I love to shoot. It's kind of a why not. And it really wasn't and I didn't care whether it was YouTube. I know a lot of people got into YouTube as a social media. Well, I still look at YouTube. It's a place to post our videos, post our educational videos. And I really wouldn't care whether it was YouTube or HarryTube or whatever it's called, or where it is. If it's a venue where you all can get to it, that's kind of what it amounts to. So everybody groups all this stuff as social media, which I guess it is. My goal was not to become Mr. Social necessarily, and Mr. Social Media. It was to make some useful videos. Is what we've done. And of course, the ability to communicate with people is the bonus in all this, right? Whereas on TV and most other things, you see a movie you like or a TV show, you can't communicate as easily with the people doing it, or make comments and post comments, that other people communicate with you about, all that kind of thing. So, but anyways, that's kind of just a rehash of how we got to doing this, and that's still pretty much the mission. Fun is a lot of the mission, and just posting something that's useful. And the other thing about that is I like to do 2 or 3 videos with most firearms, and depending on what it is. So I think somebody, I saw a comment on, I don't know, it was a close-up video or something, where guy was giving me a hard time about, I've already seen this gun before, get a different gun or something like that. Man, give me a break. I like doing 3 or 4 videos with some firearms, and we will do it. And we're not going to have a new gun every day. We're not going to have a new gun every week. So we're just going to do some different kinds of videos with the firearms we have, depending on how much we like the firearm, how much you like the firearm. I figured you'd like to see it again, maybe in a different format, like maybe shooting at smaller targets a little further away, or going through the woods and hunting the evil 2 liters, or just a close-up kind of fun video, better look at the gun maybe, or one last look at the gun. And, that's just what we do. I'm sorry if somebody doesn't like it, but that I don't see that going away, really. And the other thing is, we could be a channel where we just did new guns or something. Like if we don't have a new gun, we don't do a video. And so I don't know, every week or 2, we would do a video of some different firearm. And I guess there are probably channels that do that. Just an educational video about a firearm that we haven't seen. And it would be, maybe once a week, maybe it would be every 2 weeks. There might be a period of a couple, 3 weeks where we didn't have a new firearm or a different firearm or something, So that would be kind of the posting schedule if we were to do that. So just a reminder to people, some of the shooting videos we do, whether it's a woods walk maybe or a close-up, it's really those are videos we post. It's that or nothing, I guess what I'm trying to say. It's like this radio show. I've seen a couple of comments on it when I post it. Oh, this is just stupid rambling. I'd rather have a shooting video. Yeah, well, this is not the choice, guy. This is just something extra. Wow, that's a leap, isn't it? This is extra. This is a bonus. Thanks, but no thanks. You have a weird concept of what a bonus is, right? But it's just extra. So if you kind of envision at least our channel as, all right, new guns or different guns, you get a video with something different every couple of weeks or something. But I view it as, all right, we've got that usually, but then between times we give you an extra look at some interesting firearms in different formats. It's kind of the way it amounts to there. So anyway, there's no clear plan there. I mean, we have a variety of things we do, as you know, basics videos and FAQs, and we have done a rundown lately. We got a bunch of guns we want to do a rundown video with. I think you all like those too. We were even talking about a chapter 3, for some firearms. And do a couple things differently there for some, especially firearms that you all love and I love, that you might want an update on, and I don't know what it might be, Model 29, or the AK, or just whatever it might be, a firearm that's very popular, and I get a lot of requests to get it back out, but maybe we've done a video with it, we've done a chapter 2, maybe we've even done a woods walk or a close-up or both. But it's been a year or two, and it's an extremely popular, desirable firearm, and you want me to shoot it again? So, well, maybe I do, but not in video. And so, we need to look at that too. Get out some of the old lovable firearms that have not been on video for a while, because that's what we do. If you hadn't noticed, we bring firearms to the table and enjoy them, and hopefully you enjoy them too. So, man, I'm not sure where I was going with all that, but you know what? When you got a license to ramble, you just tend to exercise that license, don't you? I know one thing I did mean to talk about as I was rambling about the old guns and how we compare them. I touched on this a little bit in the video, but it's always a factor in discussing firearms. And one thing we guys like to do, mostly guys, I guess, but argue about which is the better firearm, and comparing them. And of course, all of us that do videos, we end up with these versus videos, and quite often that's just kind of a way to to title it. It's not a big battle between two guns maybe, but it's an easy way to say you're comparing a couple of firearms. Now, some YouTubers, they do make it kind of a battle, I think, and are a lot more perhaps opinionated or adamant about a certain firearm over others, and I can be that way on some things, but by and large, if firearms work, they do what they're supposed to do. I don't tend to bash them a lot. I don't like them as well. I like others better, but and I point that out, what I like and what I don't like, but I don't get too dramatic about it normally. But we do that versus thing, and we compare. It's just fun to do, and it's something, if you study something and you're interested in it, and you just really enjoy the hobby of shooting and learning about different firearms, and you are at the range a lot and you shoot different firearms, how can you not have opinions and have preferences? Duh, we all do that, and hopefully we calmly and and discuss those differences and what we don't like or do like about different firearms most of the time, and face to face or on the internet or wherever. I mean, that's just very, very common, isn't it? In gun shops, gun shows, wherever we're discussing what's cool about a firearm or what you don't like about a certain one or how it feels, or maybe you don't like the caliber, you prefer this caliber, you prefer this length, this size firearm, or just whatever, or different brand. It's just part of it. But in comparing and talking about how great a certain firearm is or was, especially, well, like the Henry, it really does depend on what you're comparing it with. We could say the same for the Garand, or the 1911, or even the M1A, the M14, whatever firearm in history that you find yourself comparing. And this kind of came to my mind as I was thinking about what I wanted to ramble about in this video about the Henry and the disadvantages of the Henry, for example. And of course, some of the disadvantages were the open magazine that dirt could get into and all that kind of thing. But that's true, but that's also mainly in comparison with the later models that did not have the open magazine. So if you're going to bash the Henry, you could really bash it for having that magazine like that dirt could get into. You can just see the spring, and then hang up the magazine, the feeding system, and everything. So it just depends, though. If you're going to compare it with the Model 66 or the 1873 Winchester, yeah, it's like, whoa, that's too bad, man. Put some duct tape over that, which you can't do because that tab's got to move up and down. Yeah, what a design flaw. What was wrong with those guys? Man, Benjamin Tyler Henry, was he too many Budweisers or something when he designed that? What is going on there? He should have, why did he do that? Yeah. Well, again, we got to take ourselves back into time. That's hard to do. We think we can do it, and we can intellectually try to do it. We can fantasize pretty well, but before this gun, most people were carrying a single-shot rifle. They were shooting the Sharps or the Springfield rifled musket, or the Enfield. In the Civil War, so many soldiers carried those rifles, those muskets. They look very much alike to the untrained eye, unschooled eye. If you don't know much at all about them, a Springfield 1861 and an Enfield rifle musket look about alike. They're the same design. So that's what most soldiers carried. That's what they used. That's what they were issued. So there were other rifles and things. There were some Sharps, there were Spencers, a few Henrys. There were different weapons. I mean, there were hundreds of different weapons actually used on both sides in the Civil War. But we're talking about the mainstream and what was mostly issued. And then we're talking 1850s, 1860s, early. Your average person would not have had anything like this. I mean, this was a true innovation, an amazing innovation to have a lever gun like that. The first one, really, that hit the market, that worked, that you could actually use and lever around up out of a magazine and shoot the thing 14 or 15 times before reloading. That's amazing. That is an absolute astonishing piece of hardware. So not many people, when those first came out, were going to be complaining, oh, yeah, see, we got a design flaw there. Wow, open magazine. What an idiot. Who made that? Who came up with that? No. Now, someone might have when they dropped it in the mud and it wouldn't work, I guess, but right away. But we tend to, if we're not careful, my point in all this is we tend to compare with later models, don't we? If we're not, we got to remember the times, and I can't fully, as hard as I try, identify with, walking into a gun shop in 1862 and seeing one of these on the rack and picking it up and fondling it and seeing how it works. I can try to imagine what that would be like, but I can't really, can I? We can't really do that, but we can come close. and it would have to have been just like something space age to us. It was amazing. I don't have to pour powder down the barrel and ram a ball down and prime a nipple to shoot this thing. It actually uses a cartridge, a self-contained cartridge that won't get wet and ruined. So and to be able to fire 15 rounds in a matter of seconds, fairly accurately. So this was pretty amazing piece. And so it's when you compare it with the improvements, I think, that we see the shortcomings of it, of course, like the barrel getting hot or the open magazine catching dirt and those kinds of things, and the loading system on it. That might even be a better example. With someone who picked this gun up in 1862, 1863, even soldiers using it in the war, I'm sure they encountered the issues of dirt getting into the spring and that, probably pretty regularly. But you have to pull this tab up, and turn the front of the barrel, and you don't drop them too fast, but you don't want to hold it straight up or anything because the rounds are slamming against each other, just like loading a tubular 22. So you give it just a little bit of lift or you push them in. But you load it from the front of the magazine tube, okay? The very front of the barrel. If you've not seen one of these turns, there's a shroud around the barrel, and you're putting the rounds in from the front. And till you fill it up, then you turn the front of the barrel back around, and then you release carefully the spring, loaded little tab, which exerts pressure on the rounds, just like any tubular magazine, and pushes them into the action when you're ready for them. So you reckon anybody during the 1860s was thinking, what a stupid design. You got to load it from the front of the magazine tube? Today we would call that a liability. That is because you have to be careful of doing it, and the mechanism for it, the tab and that spring, having to pull the spring all the way forward and turning that to lock it so you can load it from the front of the magazine tube instead of having a loading gate like on every other lever gun. What an idiot, Benjamin. What was wrong with you, dude? Wow, Benjamin Tyler, come on now. Well, the loading gate was not in existence yet. And I'm not sure, I don't recall when, was it Nelson King came up with that, right there around that time. That's what they used on the 66 model. And I don't remember the exact year. I was pretty young then, but sometime in the 1860s, he came up with that. And, but no one knew of a loading gate out in the real world. And so they had been loading their firearms from the front of the muzzle, loading the barrel with one round, pouring powder in, and then the ball, and then charging it somehow with a flintlock or a cap lock. So do you think they saw that as a liability, as something really stupid? Not hardly. They thought that was the coolest thing on the planet. Yeah. And then the next coolest thing on the planet was when the 1866 came out, and you didn't have that spring system like that. You had a forearm, covering the barrel, and you had also a loading gate where you could just push around in anytime you wanted. Top off the magazine, so it was protected from dirt and all that. So by that comparison, yeah, this is a little archaic. But again, we've got to compare things, with the times in which they were invented, and with the things that were around, what their orientation was, what their frame of reference was. Again, if I walked into that gun shop in 1862 or 3 and picked up one of these, my frame of reference does not include a loading gate, or loading a tubular magazine in any other method than the way this one loads. I would just have been so incredibly impressed with this firearm and the way it loads, and it does load and holds 14 or 15 rounds. I wouldn't have known anything else. See, so that's I think of the Garand, in Patton's famous line about how it was the greatest battle implement ever invented, known to man, or however it goes. Yeah, at the time, and based on Patton's frame of reference. Just something that like I'm telling you something you don't know. Just a reminder. I think it's that we all have to remind ourselves of that. That when we hear these glowing praises of something or criticisms of something, what's the context? The times and all of that. And the Garand is a great battle implement, I guess, today, if we had to rely on it. It just as the Henry is not bad, but there were things about it that were improved. I know my first Garand, for example, the gas system always gave me problems with it. No, I didn't have gas problems, but the gas system on the gun, it just didn't work right. I had function problems with that, and also with the the carrier. I had some malfunctions, hang-ups with that thing that I never could really totally figure out, and I had a gunsmith look at it once and wasn't sure what was going on with it. I finally traded or sold or something, and I got one right off the rack, and the CMP program, and that thing works pretty well, so I don't know. So the two things that I had issues with, the M14 or the M1A seemed to correct. I've never had any gas system problems on the M1A or magazine feed problems, so to me, if I'm looking at that, pretty much that firearm, that M1 basically in large caliber, the M1 Garand, the M1A, the M14. To me, the M14 would be the greatest battle implement that was ever invented, the M1A. But again, then that is based on that time frame, and my frame of reference would be as comparing it with the Garand, not with later firearms necessarily. Today, I still love the M1A, but I might be inclined to say the Scar 17. If we're looking at big battle rifles in 308 or 30-06, I might, I'm sure some would. I'd have to think about it, but a lot of people might claim the Scar 17, the heavy, to be the greatest battle implement ever devised. If you're talking about a, semi-automatic 308 or whatever, even select fire. So it all does come down to the times, doesn't it? I would maybe throw in the 1911 there, for the times it was the greatest pistol that ever came along. Some might argue that. In fact, a lot of people would argue that yes, it is great, and people have been saying that for how many decades now. That's the greatest pistol ever made, semi-automatic pistol, and it may be, and it probably is, and in general, it was ever made. As far as the use and applications and the time in use and all those things factored in. But there would be people now who would maybe claim there are improvements on that, a handgun, a semi-automatic handgun, that maybe the 1911 is not the very best semi-automatic handgun. Maybe it's not the most reliable and all that kind of thing. And of course, no one's ever argued that, have they? There's never been any videos posted with 1911 versus something else. The 1911, the gun we love to love and love to hate, I guess. But it would fall into that to some extent. Now, I guess in the context of what I'm talking about, up through whatever years, 1960s or 70s, up through that time frame, 1911 on up through there might not be a lot of argument that the best handgun, semi-automatic handgun ever invented and the best battle implement out there, whatever. But then as other things came along that were equally or more reliable, and even in bigger caliber or the same caliber, and maybe even with more capacity, we could start some arguments at that point, couldn't we? So it depends on when something came along and what is out there along with it. So lots of firearms were the very best of the day and very, very impressive. And when people are drooling and talking about how cool and impressive and great a firearm is, I think quite often that is the context. Especially if it's a historical gun. The whatever you're talking about. The Colt's Dragoon was a great gun, large caliber, nice shooting gun, accurate and everything else. You want to pack one today? What do they weigh? 3-4 pounds? A percussion revolver I'm talking about, And of course not. The Navy Colt, 1851 Navy Colt, considered one of the best firearms of all time. So the 1860 Army, you name it. But I'm not going to pack one today. They're percussion revolvers. There are much better firearms out there. Only better in, I guess, effectiveness. We go back in time, not so much. So, not telling you anything you don't know, but just a reminder as we get into our arguments about firearms and discussions about them, we always have to, keep in mind the context, what we're comparing them with, the frame of reference, as well as a lot of other things like the intended purpose. I could claim, if I'm going to get into the old 1911 argument, that there really is nothing better than a 1911, man. Great shooting pistol. And I might be able to shoot one better than anything else. Really. Just shooting it. But then you get into other arguments. Is it the best carry gun? It's pretty heavy. You've got the external safety. Do you want an external safety? You've got a light trigger, if it's a good one, and all these other factors come into play there. As far as a carry pistol, maybe some other newer polymer wonder is better. Maybe it's more reliable. Maybe it's not. So anyway, we get in all those arguments, but that's what we guys love to do, though, don't we? Gosh, I'm sorry to yak so much about old firearms and lever guns. Y'all are going to get tired of lever guns, aren't you? Well, don't get tired of them yet, because we're going to be sprinkling out some videos with some cool lever guns, amongst other things. I don't live and breathe the old guns. I like them all. Speaking of the Scar 17, gosh. There's a gun I need an excuse to get out again, don't I? I moved that thing around the safe, getting to other firearms, and I think, wow, I need to shoot this. That happens with a lot of firearms. But yes, I make no apologies. I grew up on Westerns, and I've even though I grew up on Westerns, I didn't know what half the firearms were. I didn't learn about old firearms from the Westerns, other than maybe a Colt or something, Colt single action. But I just like this old steel and brass, wood, firearms that do work. You can still shoot them, find good replicas of them. I'm sorry, I just love them, and but I also like the modern guns, and I guess you don't get quite the same feel, but I can pick up a Glock 19 or 27 or 23 and look at that and just be amazed at the simplicity, the technology, just the functionality, reliability, how it works, and to a large extent, all the competitors too. The Glock edges out the others a little bit for me, but I can't deny them, man. The M&P is a wonderful pistol. The XDs, XDMs, and H&Ks, you name it. The SIGs, here I am without a SIG. Speaking of that, y'all have been with us for a long time know I had a SIG back in the 90s, SIG 220 and a 226. I had two. Let them get away, and was competing a lot at the time. The double single action didn't suit me. I didn't like it a lot. I was really opinionated about that. Still am to some extent. And then what did I trade? Yeah, I had a SIG here recently. I traded something and ended up with the 229, if you remember that one. Had it a while, and then I traded it for something else or sold it. And then I had a P226, the Seal pistol, lent to us for video. And I don't know, boy, I can't get that one out of my mind. I really can't. I remember doing that video and shooting that thing. I need to go back and look at the video. As I recall, I just had a hard time missing with it. It had a great trigger and just a great feel. So I miss the SIG too. incorrigible. There's no hope for me. If it's a firearm that's made well and shoots well, reliable, feels good, I like it. No matter who makes it, no matter when it was made, in 1851 or 2013. But yeah, I would like to have a SIG. I would like to have a SIG. Well, that gun, that P226, that is a sweet, sweet shooter. Had a great trigger on it. But anyway, I do like the modern guns. And, we did I don't know if I've mentioned that in a radio show. I think I posted a picture of it on Facebook. But a Steyr M9 A1 we borrowed and did a video with. And so that is a fine little shooter. That thing feels good. It's a little weird. It's a little different, the sights on it. And, the look of it. But I felt good. Felt really good. We had no hang-ups at all. The owner of it has never had a hang-up. Well, he said he started out, he had a couple, he thought he limp-wristed. But that thing just is a good little shooter. I understand the company has, they've had issues over the years with getting them imported and just different things. But I don't know if they ever got their act together and all parts were available and guns were widely available, that might become a much more popular pistol. And it really might. It's got an unusual sight on it, but I guess you could change that out if you didn't like it. But fine shooting little pistol. Really high bore axis or low bore axis and heavy enough slide to where shooting a 9mm is just very, very sweet. You don't get any recoil to speak of at all. And just a good shooting gun. So I like them all. It's hard to find one that I don't like if it shoots well. And, we're going to continue experimenting with anything that looks interesting. And, like the little Sky pistol, I think I've talked about a little bit. We'll be posting one on that. We've been shooting that for a month or two, off and on around the compound before we did a video with it. And hopefully can give you some insight into that, although the verdict is still out on it, but it has its merits. It really does. So time moves on away from Henrys and Winchesters. I know lots of cool guns out there, and with so many guns, so little time. Same old story. Yep, beautiful fall weather, and I'm loving it. It's one of the benefits of, I guess, being quote unquote retired. Not really retired, but I'm not teaching now. And this is my first fall to have my way with all the beautiful fall weather. In the past, if it was a rainy weekend, because I quite often in the fall, especially after the time change, I would leave in the dark and come home in the dark. And so the weekend was all I had around the compound, and so that put a lot of bank on the weekend, in terms of what the weather was and your schedule and everything. So it's really nice being able to get out during the week, and that I really do feel like I'm not teaching now because I'm accustomed to not working in the summer, at least for a couple of months. And but now with the fall weather, I'm out in the middle of the day. I catch myself out on the compound doing something, or shooting or whatever it is. I'm like, wait a minute, this is Wednesday afternoon, or this is Tuesday morning, and I'm out here. It doesn't compute, So that is a nice part of it, and because I love the outdoors and I love the fall, my very favorite time of the year. And it's one of my favorite things about Earth, really. I can recall the other planets where we didn't have the season changes, but since coming to Earth, I have fallen in love with the fall seasons in Tennessee, really have. I do miss teaching. There's parts of that I miss so much. Miss those dumb kids, that's the beauty of it. Picking on the kids all day. Hammering them, that's something that you just can't get back. You don't get that back. Now I have been back once or twice, and I may have already told you, went back to judge a poetry contest and on Cowboy Day and stuff, and that was great. That was worth $1 million, and got to talk to all my old students from last year again, because it was their grade level this year, and got to talk to them as a group briefly and individually, and I loved it. And that may be the last time that ever happens, and that was special. That really was. It was great to see them. I let them know they were still just as ugly as they were last year, and that was good to see. And it really was. Kids don't really appreciate it yet. But I may have talked about this, but when you think back on all your teachers, and for me, all my students, when you are engaged every single day for 9 months, you get to know them. You get to know the kids. They get to know you, and you really do develop a bond. You really, you just do. And whether you want to or not, you know them well, and they know you. It's just from the intense daily interactions, you get to know each other, and so they become almost like your own kids. They really do, and you miss them, and it's there's some that try your patience. Duh, I wasn't born yesterday, and that maybe you don't miss as much, but generally speaking, you miss them, and it's always good to see them, every single one of them. It really is. So I look forward to getting back to some sporting events and seeing some of their ugly faces, there, and thinking up some quick insults for them, because I know my colleagues are probably trying to fill my shoes, and I encourage them to do it, and some of them promised. But I know they're just probably not doing a professional job of keeping up the torment and the insults. I left it in their hands. I just feel, I can just sort of sense that they're not giving enough pop quizzes. They're not making the little kids' lives miserable enough without my being there. I think they relied on me to do that. And I'm just not confident that my colleagues are keeping up their traditions. I think I'm really suspicious they're being too nice to the kids. Really, as the impression I got when I was back. And I don't know. Maybe there's a part-time position there for me, where like 2 days a week or 1 day a week, I go in for a couple hours and just make up for all the other joy that the kids are experiencing. They need something to offset that. They need somebody that is willing and perfectly happy to be mean to them. So I don't know. Maybe there's a job there, part-time job. Anyway, I've rambled too long. I promise again, I've really not been drinking. But when I hear myself talk, sometimes I think maybe it sounds as though I have been. But I'm really not a big drinker. I have a beer, probably drink about 3 beers a month or something. I'm just not a big drinker. I don't know, maybe I'd be better off if I were, really. Maybe I'd make more sense. But anyway, it's been good to talk to you. I'm sorry y'all were so quiet. Feel free to speak up. And I'll yak at you some more here when I get in the mood one day, and dig out some more boring stuff to talk about. Meanwhile, I'll be fondling some firearms. I've got several to return here. Got to get them out to the shops and places where we borrowed them. And again, we are so appreciative of that, of the local gun shops helping us out, and individuals that lend us firearms. It makes it a better project for all of us. Gives you guys a look at stuff you wouldn't see, at least on our channel, and gives me an opportunity to show it to you and to shoot it and to give my opinions on it, and to gain that experience. Actually, I don't think of it I guess because I've been shooting my whole life, but I guess objectively looking at it, really, I guess over the last 2 or 3, 4 years of doing this, maybe I've actually gained some more valuable experience than I had even before we started doing this. I thought I'd shot a lot of firearms and slung a lot of bullets, and I had. but I probably take for granted the fact that I have actually come in contact with so many different firearms that people have lent us, for these videos, or I've traded in and out of, and that we've used. And so maybe it's hopefully it's added another couple of percentage points to maybe whatever my opinion's worth. I don't know. I've got more frame of reference, as I say, and more experience shooting different types of firearms. And there really is some benefit in that. There really is, other than just being able to share, with you. John is really getting to be a good shot. For example, he can really hold his own with me on a lot of shooting. We don't get out there and compete or anything, but I mean, he can really pop. And one thing he struggles with some, though, is like a firearm has a long trigger pull or a really bad trigger. He's not as able to overcome that as well as I can sometimes, because I've dealt with so many bad triggers in my life, and I've shot double action so much, and he's not had a lot of experience with double action revolvers. He likes them, but he's just not run thousands and thousands of rounds through double action revolvers and guns like that, and holding the sights on while he's doing it and competing with it. So that's the one area I probably still can show him up on, but he's really getting good, and has been good, but is a really solid shooter. But that experience, there's nothing like it, as I was getting to there. Even shooting bad guns with bad triggers, you really gain a lot from it, and it helps you become a better shooter. It really does, because holding that long, bad, gritty, 2-stage, 5-stage trigger pull, pulling it steadily as you hold the sights on target, that's all good training. In fact, maybe that's a sideline business I could start. I could create some pistol that doesn't even have a barrel that will fire, but it's just a training pistol with a bad trigger. And I get 3 or 4 different models. One could be extremely bad trigger, one could be sort of bad trigger, and one could be less than desirable trigger, and really gritty and long. And your challenge is to hold it on target. It could be a toy gun, it could be an airsoft gun or something. Just something that you could practice with, holding the sights right in alignment on the bullseye as you manipulate that horrible trigger that finally breaks. So all that's good experience. Whatever you shoot, it's good. And even if it's a gun you hate and has a horrible trigger, there's something to be benefited from it, at least in my eyes. So anyway, I've got a lot of guns to return, probably got some shooting I need to do, and I hope you get a chance to do some shooting, and hopefully with a lovable firearm. Dig back into the closet or safe or under the bed, where hopefully you have a safe, but dig one of those firearms out you've neglected too long, and shine it up, oil it up, clean it, and have a renewed affair with that fine pistol or revolver or rifle, whatever it might be. There's one in there you've neglected, right? Get it out, at least clean it up, maybe even fire that thing if you can find ammo, right? Anyway, it's been good yakking at you. It's great to be able to yak at you where you can't scream at me and tell me to shut up and I'm being stupid. I can just keep on rambling. It's kind of like nirvana. Life's good. Have a great week.
You've been listening to the Hickok45 radio show. See you on the range.